The segment opens with a political activist protesting against Russian President Petrov, branding him a fascist and a thief. US President Underwood plots to overshadow Petrov's arrival with an excessively loud orchestral performance. Underwood discusses leveraging financial backing for his America Works program with Bob, aiming to sway Republican votes. Despite Underwood's assertion that his priorities align with Petrov's, tension is evident as Petrov arrives at the White House. Their initial exchange reveals disagreement, despite Underwood's attempts to impress with a surfboard gift. After Petrov departs, Underwood secretly meets with computer programmer Gavin Orsay, only for Gavin to be subsequently approached and threatened by FBI Director Hale, who demands he become an informant. Finally, Frank and Claire Underwood prepare for the formal state dinner honoring President Petrov. Claire and Frank Underwood strategize about mending their relationship with US Ambassador to the UN Kathy Durant, needing her support for the formal dinner. As the Underwoods greet Vice President Blythe, Senator Mendoza, and other guests for President Petrov's state dinner, a cadre of soldiers stands in formation for the press. Among the attendees are Russian Pussy Riot activists Nadia Tolokonnikova, Masha Alyokina, and Kira, whose presence causes mild tension. At the dinner, Claire begins a conversation with the Russian ambassador about love and Putin. Initially unhappy, President Underwood eventually supports the idea. A plan is devised to embarrass President Petrov by having one of the Pussy Riot activists interrupt the dinner. During President Underwood's speech, one of the activists throws a glass to the ground as a signal, and she and her fellow activists stand up to denounce Petrov. Afterwards, Doug Stamper discusses the president's actions with Lucas Goodwin. Later, Claire engages in a tense conversation about power and manipulation with one of the dinner guests, while Frank attempts to smooth things over, and President Petrov engages in traditional Russian toasts involving vodka, bread, and pickles. Meanwhile, Gavin Orsay is back at his computer, monitoring news about President Petrov's controversial visit and acting as a double agent, spying on the Underwoods for the FBI via text messages. Finally, as the dinner winds down with a song, Gavin receives instructions for his next meeting. President Petrov and President Underwood engage in a seemingly friendly yet tense cultural exchange during a formal dinner complete with singing and toasts. While advisors Kathy and Leanne observe and strategize, Underwood subtly mocks Petrov before proposing a Russian song, eventually leading Petrov towards a more private area where they can speak candidly. Meanwhile, Kathy warns Leanne to keep their true plans for Beetle hidden and to maintain a neutral demeanor, attributing the need for civility to Frank's decisions. In a back room, amidst cigar smoke, Petrov reveals his desire for the removal of the US pro-defense system from his borders, focusing on the Jordan Valley. Later, Claire and Catherine engage in a tense personal competition, discussing Petrov and summits, ultimately striking a bargain. Underwood suggests using the UN to achieve this goal. After the dinner, in Underwood's room, Claire confronts him with accusations, prompting Leanne to present a plan involving Underwood's troops in the Jordan Valley, which Underwood then instructs her to pass on to Kathy. In the Oval Office, Underwood's aide informs him of the need to consult with Europe regarding a proposal to send 5,000 troops. Simultaneously, FBI agent Gavin receives a call and, upon examining his computers, manipulates Leanne's photo data, changing its location to Los Angeles. President Petrov meets with President Underwood at the White House, expressing his readiness to make significant concessions contingent on discussions with NATO allies regarding Poland and the Czech Republic. Petrov insists that their agreements remain private, suggesting a public statement focused solely on the Jordan Valley. Underwood demands assurance that Petrov will honor his word, referencing prior accommodations. Their conversation veers into a discussion about cars, with Petrov disparaging the Lada while Underwood seems to bait him. As Underwood prepares to end the meeting, he pointedly mentions calling for Petrov's motorcade. After the meeting, Underwood cancels the planned joint press conference and instead delivers a solo address. In his speech, Underwood champions Nadia Tolokonnikova, Masha Alyokina, and Pyotr Verzilov of Pussy Riot, positioning them as voices against Petrov. Underwood declares that peace cannot be traded and must be earned, with or without Petrov. Meanwhile, Claire argues that Russia's veto power in the Security Council must be bypassed,